From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell. This is The Log. And looking out the studio window here at the Milwaukee skyline, I cannot see it. It's pitch white, as they say. The oxymoronic phrase that some people use. Of course, pitch black means that it's as black as pitch, with pitch being... What is the actual definition of pitch? Okay, pulling out the phone for the first time. It's oil, right? Or it's grease? Okay. Define pitch. Now, first I'm going to get... Oops. Define potch. Okay, I mistyped. It's a slang, inferior quality opal used in jewelry for mounting precious opals. Intransitive verb, obsolete, to thrust, to push. Potch, P-O-T-C-H. All right, okay. Word a day. Maybe we should do that. Make that a segment of the show. Let's have a vocabulary list. Or at least just a word. Okay, just one word per week. Okay, so of course, yeah, it's the quality of sound. It's the steepness of a slope. Pitch is a throw. It's a baseball throw. But that's not what I'm looking for. The level of intensity. He brought the machine to a high pitch of development. That's not used much. Oh, of course, it's the playing field for a game of cricket out on the pitch. Is that the same for soccer or football? You're on the pitch. A swaying or oscillation of a ship. Yeah. Boy, there are lots of definitions for pitch. This would be a good word for improv. Sometimes when they'll ask for a suggestion in an improv show, they say, give me a word that has multiple meanings. So the next time I'm at an improv show, I'm going to be all wound up and ready to go. And as soon as they ask that, I'm going to yell, pitch! They're going to love me. Boy, I just cannot find this definition. Old English, to thrust. Here we go. Noun. A sticky, resinous, black or dark brown substance that is semi-liquid when hot, hard when cold. It is obtained by distilling tar or petroleum and is used for waterproofing. Pitch. Okay. There you go. So there's the definition of that I couldn't really come up with very succinctly or accurately. So pitch, yeah, so pitch black, that's where pitch black comes from. Black is pitch. So when someone says pitch white, which I've heard people say, pitch doesn't mean very. It's very black or it's very white. Oh, it's very kind of you. You're pitch kind. You're very beautiful. You're pitch beautiful. Yeah, it's pitch white outside my window right now. There's fog and rain and freezing rain and snow, and I love winter. Winter's the greatest. Don't really understand summer people, but that's okay. That's strictly a matter of taste. I have no argument to make. It's just, for me, great preference for winter. All right, speaking of judgments, and actually I'll try to create some weird little segue here. There are some things that don't matter. Just opinion. I like blue, you like red. I like hockey, you like soccer. And the other guy likes basketball. It's just, it doesn't really matter. It's whatever you want. And there are other times when there are degrees of quality. That's a bad piece of furniture. It's built poorly. It'll fall apart. It's legitimately ugly. I think most people would agree. It's uncomfortable. There are things you can judge. And when it comes to the arts, I have very mixed feelings about this because, A, I really want people to create their own art and do their own thing. I'm very much in agreement with Kurt Vonnegut on this. You may have seen he has a couple of different quotes that surface in social media feeds occasionally. I know I'll see them come up where he has this great philosophy about art that everyone should do it, everyone should enjoy it. But the real important thing here is he doesn't say put it out there and pretend that it's great. He says, no, do it for the intrinsic value and share it with your friends and family if you want, or even better, according to Vonnegut. I should find this quote. It's not that important. I can paraphrase fine, or at least get the message across. He says, there's value in creating art just in the creation of it. And you write a poem and throw it away, never show it to anyone. That's fine. Again, if you want to share it with friends and family, wonderful. But if not, write the poem, paint the painting, dance the dance, and the audience doesn't matter. There's great value in art. So that's the basis where I'm coming from. Now, when it comes to finding an audience or sharing your art with an audience, that's great. But there again, you don't have any expectations there. If you think it's good and you want to share it because that's what you do, wonderful. But now money comes into the game, and as you know, I believe money should be abolished. One of the many, many reasons why money should be abolished, it ruins art. It ruins literally, virtually everything it touches. I wasn't sure if I wanted to use literally or virtually, so I used both. Money ruins everything it touches. So now you're making art or film or music or dance or whatever it is, and it's your intention to sell the art in order to make a living. Now, I want artists to make a living. I think artists should be comfortable and well compensated. But the whole world of money just doesn't make that possible, because you have to either be the one in 100,000 million who will kind of spark interest in others just with your own sheer originality and ingenuity. Those artists, again, are one in many, many thousands of millions. Or you can, do your thing and kind of eke out a living, or do it as a hobby, which is what most wind up doing. Or in the case of writers, most writers are, they're teaching literature at some small liberal arts college in the Northeast somewhere, and that's how they actually make their living, so they can afford to write poetry. Money is just not ever going to serve. So I'm going to apologize here because I don't know where I'm going with. I don't know where I'm going with this. Let me just skip ahead. It's awards season. I guess that's why this was all coming to my mind. It's awards season. The Golden Globes, and they just announced the nominations for the Academy Awards, and it's all so horrible and awful. Here in my hometown of Milwaukee, we have something. The Shepherd Express, which is the local free weekly, they have their annual awards. There's the Wisconsin Music, WAMI. What does WAMI stand for? Somebody help me out. Wisconsin Area Music Inspirers. I don't know what the I stands for. Anyway, they have their annual awards, and people vote for each other, and they ask for votes online. And oh my God, there's nothing worse. There's just nothing in this world worse than awards for arts. I can't stand it. I really can't. And this Hollywood thing. Oh my Lord. I don't remember the last time I saw a good movie. I went, you know what? I fell for it. Well, no, that's not the right word. I capitulated. I caved in over the summer at some point. I saw Barbie and I saw Oppenheimer, and I actually saw them on the same day. Yes, I did. I had the Oppenbarbie Neimerheimer day that people talked about. I actually did that. And, fine. It's, Barbie was especially kind of wonderful for about the first, 30 minutes. I couldn't wipe my smile off my face. It was just this great little, delightful spectacle. It was great eye candy. That's a sexist term, isn't it? I can't really use that term. It was, but it was just sweet and wonderful. Yeah, eye candy has terrible connotations. Forget I said that. No, it was sweet and wonderful and saccharine and just kind of beautiful in a lot of different ways. And I just couldn't wipe the smile off my face. So I thought, okay, well, good for you. Then as the movie progressed, as with most movies, I usually like the first act the best. Most movies generally are 3 acts. The first act and I'm speaking in very general terms here, kind of establishes the characters and their relationships, and then the second act is the action and the heightened stakes, and then the third act is the peak, and then the resolve. And I almost always like the first act the best. I'm interested in seeing characters developed in a film or in a play, and how they relate with each other, and sometimes I could just leave it at that. I was like, that was a good time, and some Jim Jarmusch is the great example. Film director Jim Jarmusch. Sometimes his entire movies are just the first act. He'll spend all of his time just exploring the characters and their relationships, and what they do is secondary. And there are no stakes really. There's no action. There's no shoot 'em ups. There's nothing going on except these really weird, interesting, fun characters relating to each other. And so that's kind of what I like. I like that first act. So I loved the first act of Barbie. Once it got into what it had to do, then okay, you got to have these problems, you have to solve them. I got less interested. I will say that the speech by the character played by America Ferrara about feminism, it was like it was the greatest speech on film since Henry Fonda in Grapes of Wrath. When there's a kid in trouble, I'll be there. When there's a cop beating up a guy, I'll be there. That's the greatest speech in the history of American film. And I put America Ferrara's speech about feminism right there with it. Maybe just on, I don't know. Time will tell. But for the moment, I'm just going to put it right there. Fantastic. And I'm really glad that she got a nomination. Again, I don't like, I hate the whole idea of arts awards. But when they're given to someone and I agree, then I'm okay with it. I can rationalize that far. So I was very glad to see that she got a nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Very glad to see that Greta Gerwig got the nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay. And then everybody's making all this noise because Gerwig didn't get nominated for Best Director. Well, there's only 5 directors. Not every Best Picture nominee, which Barbie is, can have their director also nominated. And of course, but now the big story, of course, is that Ryan Gosling got nominated for Best Actor in his role as Ken. And everybody's just up in arms in this ridiculous sort of, they're saying, well, that's the whole point of the movie. Look at Ken is in this women-driven movie, and it's all about how the patriarchy is a problem, and now Gerwig doesn't get nominated for Best Director. Margot Robbie does not get nominated for Best Actress. And she and Greta Gerwig, of course, are the catalyst for this film. They made it happen, and it became much more than just a film. It was like this great cultural phenomenon, and it made like billions of dollars, and it was the biggest movie of the year as far as box office goes and word of mouth goes, and it went toe to toe with Oppenheimer. I think it even out grossed it in box office sales. So for Ryan Gosling to get nominated while those two were quote unquote snubbed, now all of these people are just shouting from the rooftops, oh, patriarchy, oh, the man gets nominated and the women get snubbed. That's the whole point of the movie. Didn't you see the movie? And it's just so stupid and it's so ridiculous. Yes, of course there's a patriarchy, but that's not why Greta Gerwig didn't get nominated for Best Director. She just didn't. And Margot Robbie didn't get nominated for Best Actress. Did you see? I saw the movie. She was fine. I don't know if it was Oscar worthy. My God, that's a pretty big feat. That's a pretty high bar to be Oscar worthy. And just because Ryan Gosling got the nomination, now I don't see many movies. I'll be really honest. If I looked at the list right now, I'd recognize half the names, and I will have not probably seen the other actors. Well, I saw what's his name in Oppenheimer, and I can't even remember his name because that's how involved I am. And I am less involved because movies are just worse and worse all the time. People just freaked out over Oppenheimer. It's like, yeah, okay, all right. Okay, it's a movie. It's fine. I just don't understand why people turn somersaults. There are beautiful things in the world. There's great art. And I appreciate it when I see it, when I find it, when I discover it. And I'll tell you the truth. I usually find it just in my own social feed, just from no names, from people who are just trying to get it done, you know? Another reason why money just ruins everything. You have to have millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars up front to make the kind of thing you want to do, and then you got to please an awful lot of people, and you got to have your audience in mind, which I know maybe to some people sounds like a good thing, but it's the death knell for art. If you go into it thinking about your audience, no, you have to think about your own inner calling and your own art and your own message if you have one. There's so much beauty in this world. That's the beauty itself in the world is why I get so angry at all the junk and the garbage. And the fact that people lose their minds over something like Barbie, over something like Oppenheimer. It's like, okay, they're fine. They're fine. But, have you ever seen a movie? There's a million of them. There's more content than we could ever take in a million lifetimes. It's just all out there. And again, some of the most beautiful, wonderful, most meaningful, most interesting, most innovative art, music, film that I find is just around the corner in little things at a student film festival, or somebody posts something online, and it's hit or miss. It's needle in a haystack. You just feel lucky when you find it. It's like, look at that, man. That moved me. That was fantastic. But all this big money, big budget, big marketing stuff, wow. It's just more and more and more. And money ruins it all, and I don't know what everybody's getting so excited about. And then you take on this big cultural thing about, Ryan Gosling. And Ryan Gosling himself has to kowtow to this kind of silliness. I remember a long time ago, I dated this woman who claimed that she was a much bigger feminist than I was. This was back in my student days, and I was taking courses at the university level. I was taking one feminism course, and just generally interested in the subject. And I just wanted to be I wanted to be an ally. I wanted to kind of prove myself, and I was still learning. And I'm not saying I was like, the model feminist or the perfect man feminist. No, I was just doing my best. It really wasn't so much about me, it was about her. Now, she had just extremely unsophisticated ideas about what feminism was. We would have long conversations about this. And really what it came down to her was I'm a woman, so I'm right. And I'm a woman, so I should be listened to because I'm a woman. And well, yeah, you should be listened to and you should be respected, but that's as far as she took it. She had no other thoughts on the subject. If there was some conflict between a man and a woman, well, the woman was just always right, and women should have this advantage and that advantage, but she couldn't put it into any cohesive thought. And to be honest, I don't really blame her. She wasn't studying this necessarily. She was just living her life and trying to do her best. But the point is, when I say she was unsophisticated, I'm sorry if that came out as an insult, because it wasn't, and that's not the way I meant it. I just mean that some people are completely unsophisticated about that which they speak. And I know that came out all wrong grammatically, but I think you get my point. Some people just, their language, maybe I'm demonstrating that right now, I think I am. Their language is insufficient. They don't really have the vocabulary. They don't have the experience. It's very difficult to articulate the thoughts and ideas they have. But you know what? That's how you know. That's how you know when your ideas have some merit. If you can describe them succinctly, and if you can make your meaning clear, that shows that you've given it some real thought. But just because you can't do that doesn't mean you don't have valid opinions and thoughts. So let's bring this all back into one, hopefully, cohesive thought here. Let's have art. Let's have film. Let's have music. Let's have everybody do it. Let's have everybody enjoy it. Let's not pretend that some of it is so above the rest. While we definitely want standards, yeah, like I said before, sometimes that's just a bad couch. Sometimes that's just genuinely, legitimately, objectively a bad painting, or that's a bad film. And there are experts in the field who can sort of explain to us why that is, or we can just use our own judgment, like I don't get that one at all. And sometimes when you get a consensus of opinion and nobody gets your art, well, maybe there's a problem there. Stop doing it? No, keep doing it. That's fine. But don't try to convince people to like your art, and don't set up all these award shows to give each other these statues to convince everybody how great you are. Money ruins art. Art is weird. The best of it comes from the weirdest places. We don't always know what we're talking about, and that's okay. It's all a big sloppy mess, and that's the way it should be. I don't know if I'm even going to... I might start all over and just give you a new episode this week. I don't know. Do you want to hear this? It just... Award season makes me so crazy. It makes me think, too, of talking about the arts. Comedy has been in such a weird space in the last couple of years. There's nowhere you can turn. You're not going to see somebody else doing stand-up. And so much of it is just so awful. There's just so much. There's more than we need. There's more comedy than we need. There's more films. There's more everything. It's just too much content. Well, when it comes to comedy specifically, there's this one school of thought that is just so incredibly weird that they'll say right out loud, well, it's the job of comedy. It's our sacred mission to offend you. Well, no, that certainly can happen, but that's not your sacred mission. Your mission is to be funny. You don't have to offend somebody. And this notion that there is nothing off limits, if you're a racist or if you're homophobic, if you're misogynistic, being funny about it doesn't excuse you. Some of the people defending comedy just don't seem to get that at all. Now, you can put it in your routine. You can make jokes where the subject matter is a controversial or a really touchy subject. I mean, for God's sakes, Mel Brooks made jokes about the Nazis and Auschwitz, for God's sakes. So yeah, in that regard, there's nothing off limits. But they take it to the next level and just use it as this sort of magic shield that allows them to say and do absolutely anything. And then the aim of their comedy is misdirected at the people. It's like if Mel Brooks would do a joke that made fun of the Jews being slaughtered. He made them the butt of the jokes. Like somehow made it their fault. Well, of course Mel Brooks would never do that, and he never did that. So the yokels now who say, "Oh, you could never do that today. You could never do Springtime for Hitler today." They just have such a horrible understanding, a no understanding, kind of like my old girlfriend and her view of feminism. She didn't really get it. She put everything through the lens of her own highly unsophisticated view. And people do that. And I'm tired of, I'm really kind of tired of having to be forced to defend people like that. It's like, no, you're just wrong. I'm tired of having to be nice about differing opinions regarding the arts, regarding media. Yes, some things are just a matter of taste. Fine, I'll stay out of that. You like the Three Stooges. I like the Marx Brothers. They're very different. You can have quite a long and sophisticated conversation about that, by the way. One is great for one reason and the other is great for another reason, but they're very different. Anybody who thinks the Three Stooges and the Marx Brothers, you can put them kind of in the same category, or they're just funny guys, that's, fine. Laugh, have a good time. Who am I to say not have a good time? But that is the height of ignorance. If you think those two troops had absolutely anything to do with each other, When you create the Venn diagram of the Marx Brothers and the Three Stooges, it barely touches. They were both in black and white, and they were both three groups of three men. Marx Brothers were four for a while, but they were mostly three: Chico, Harpo, and Groucho. By the way, if you call him Chico, now right there, you've told me you don't know. I can't even hear your opinion now because, of course, it was pronounced Chico. But some of you don't know that. I don't blame you for not knowing that. But don't try to have an argument with me if you don't even know it was pronounced Chico. So I'm getting sick to death of having to be nice about different opinions in arts and media. Some things are objectively bad. Some things are objectively good. And some people are objectively wrong about their opinions. You like red, I like blue. I'm not going to convince you why red is bad. But if you think the old TV show, let me think of a bad old TV show, Three's Company. If you think that was high quality entertainment, no, you're just wrong. It was objectively bad in many, many ways. And that's what's happening right now with this argument over Barbie and the Oscar nominations. If you're making a big deal about how, you don't even get it. Didn't you get the message of the movie? If you did, then Margot Robbie, despite her performance, would have been nominated for Best Actress. Well, of course she would. No, that's not the way it works. You're just dumb and you're just wrong. And I'm tired of having to be nice about people who are just dumb and wrong. People recommending, God, I saw The Holdovers. What a piece of garbage that movie was. You're just wrong. If you think that's a good movie, you're just wrong. You don't know good movies. Go back. They've been making movies for 100 years. Go find some actual good movies. Go see The Philadelphia Story with Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn and Jimmy Stewart. Go watch Dr. Strangelove. Go watch any one of 100 really great movies. And then come back and tell me that The Holdovers was a good movie. It stunk. It was predictable and it was slow and it was muddling and it was so on the nose. Oh my God, that's one of my worst. When something is so on the nose, you know what I mean? All right, well, we're out of time. I had no intention of making this the half hour today. But that's all right. That's okay. We'll talk about something else next week. Get back into some hardcore politics or something. This was actually a big week for politics, but that made me even angrier than this. So I didn't want to get my blood pressure up for that. But we got plenty of time. We got all the time in the world. All right, I love you a lot, and that's it for this time. Let's see, who do we have to thank? River West Radio, riverwestradio.com. 104.1 FM here in Milwaukee. They're our flagship terrestrial station. Thanks to Peter Donalds, who wrote and performed our theme music. And of course, I encourage you to go to the website, charlesburcell.com. Lots of different things going on there. Of course, the different podcasts. I actually wrote a column recently. I haven't been doing that lately, but I did write an essay. So there's things to see there, read, and hear. All right. There it is. This is The Log. I'm Charles Burcell. See ya.